Welcome, everyone, to the Over Under Movies podcast, the show where we take a prominent figure or franchise in the world of filmmaking and ask the simple question, is it overrated or is it underrated? I'm joined by a special guest today. It's my friend Evan. Hi, Evan.
Hello. Hi, Jason. I forgot that was the premise of the podcast.
Yeah, we don't
overrated or underrated.
But we don't do that for these new releases. We do that when we're talking about like old movies and stuff.
Okay, so that's not the premise.
So this is just a spoilers review of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to have to spoil things.
We have to spoil it. I mean, this movie, I don't know if we're going to keep any of the cold open that we just recorded in this episode or not, but
We really should.
we should.
I feel like I'm going to, right now, dig a hole that means you have to put it in, because I'm going to say it was really good.
Okay.
And if it's not there, people are going to be
the cold
worried.
open. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
just
cold
feel like we talked about strangers for a long time in the cold open.
But here's the thing. I love a good cold open.
I do too.
And this movie has a good cold open.
You're so right.
Late title card that my sense of time might be off. Felt like it was maybe 20 minutes.
20 minutes into I gasped.
Yeah.
Okay, so Evan, tell them what we're talking about.
All right, we're talking about The Long Walk. It is a film adaptation of a Stephen King novel that is about 50 teenagers, I'm going to say, young men. I guess they were all men.
Yeah.
We don't really get into that at all, but they had to be men.
Yep.
Who sign up to basically wear Fitbits that tell them if they're going at least 3 miles per hour or not. Mm-hmm. And if they fall under 3 miles per hour, they get a warning. Mm-hmm. And if they do it again, they get a second warning. If they do it a third time, they get a third warning. And then they get their ticket.
Yeah.
And their ticket is getting shot very violently and gruesomely, and you seeing it all. And they walk for a long while. I would say for around an hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Or however long the movie is. And that's the movie.
That's the movie.
That is
a lot
the movie.
of walking.
They until there's one left. There's one left, and they win an amount of money. We actually don't.
They keep
I think,
things
say
vague.
it ever.
Yeah.
And they get one wish.
They get a wish, and that part I think made me chuckle. So at the very opening of the movie, there's a bunch of text on the screen that tells you what's going to happen.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes.
It's kind of like a Star Wars opening scroll, but it's framed as the letter that our protagonist receives with instructions on what this walk is going to be and what the prize will be at the end. So when we saw that there is just a wish, I think I chuckled because it's so vague. But basically, we follow these 50 young men as they walk and get shot, and you start to root for them. You start to see them.
At the beginning,
suffer.
you were not rooting for them.
At the beginning, I had to get to know these men.
That's fair.
And see what their vibe was, But all of them were pretty chill. Yeah, it's a very simple premise for a movie, and I don't know about you, but I ended up enjoying it a lot. What did you think about it?
I'm so mixed on how I feel about it, because it was, I want to say, well executed. There are some beautiful moments. The movie also talks about moments a lot.
Yeah.
About enjoying the moment. This moment's important. And there was a couple times I thought this moment's important. What's happening right now on the screen. There's some beautiful shots. Cinematography was really well done. I think watching 49 children just get shot one after each other in like really gruesome ways was like not a fun time. Like there was some moments where I got to introspect and I got to feel things, and the movie did move me, but I just don't think it was that enjoyable.
I think I felt tension the entire movie, because even during the nice moments and the moments of levity, there's always another gunshot right around the corner. So you never really have time to feel good. At one point, there's like, look at that rainbow over there. And I'm like, I think someone's going to get shot right after this scene. So I went to the bathroom right after I saw the rainbow. I didn't stay there long enough. As soon as I got back, someone got shot.
Yeah, no one got shot while you were gone.
Yeah.
The movie waited.
Great. Thanks, movie.
It would do that often, though, where they would have a moment of levity. Like they'd all start singing Clementine, or they would like do some chant about like basically just saying fuck you to the government, or I guess the government's what's running this whole situation, or the major, who is played by Mark Hamill, who is the one corralling them forward. it would have those brief moments, and then it would like, I feel like every time cut to night and it was raining, and then like someone's gonna get shot.
Yeah. Every time it cut to night, I got nervous. I was nervous the whole movie. That's the movie. I think that's what it was going for, so I would say it's very effective. I would also say this is a very dialogue-heavy movie. It's all kind of driven, one by the violence, which happens routinely, but then aside from that, it's all about just these guys talking to one another and you getting to know these characters and you growing to care for these characters, knowing that all of them but one will die. So it's similar to The Hunger Games. It's directed by the director of the first Hunger Games.
Yes, Francis Lawrence.
Francis Lawrence.
I think he did all of them. Is that not?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought this
idea.
until you just said that, and I'm like, maybe he didn't.
I don't know. I don't know enough about The Hunger Games. I like the first one. I love the second one.
I just rewatched all the Hunger Games movies within the last month.
Wow.
And
did they all feel like they were directed by one guy?
They did. They really did.
Nice.
So I'm gonna take a stand here and say they were.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, come for me in the comments.
It's definitely nice to like be wrong about things, because that's the only way people interact with this podcast.
Wonderful.
Is all.
Yeah, and you have like a correction section at the end or something, so people will be able to get their word in.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll do that. But the connection that I had between this and the Hunger Games that I thought was worth mentioning was that rewatching the Hunger Games movies, it struck me how intense they are, how dark what's actually happening on screen is. It's a PG-13 version of it, but those movies are just about putting children in an arena and forcing them to kill each other, and it's really horrible, but they're fun. And it's like goofy, and you like the villains in those movies are treated a little bit like, oh, that guy, he's so annoying, but they're murdering children.
I know.
And this felt like, well, what if you could make those Hunger Games movies but have them be R-rated and fully leaned into how horrifying those things would be if you were able to show it as it would exist in the real world. And I think my takeaway was like, I'm glad the Hunger Games movies were not R-rated.
Yeah.
Because it would have been really hard to watch those movies.
The Hunger Games are effective because they're a blend of like sort of YA optimism and the camp whenever they go to the Capitol and stuff. They are just kind of a good watch. This, I don't know if I'd say it's a good watch. I found myself very moved by a lot of scenes, but the most moving things was always like this guy being like, I'm never going to see my mom again. Or like someone getting shot and then being like, I made the wrong choice to be here. It was pretty horrific, but like I felt myself welling up a little bit in certain moments. And anytime a movie can do that to me, I think it's great. So I really love this movie, I would say. It's beating out a lot of other movies that I loved this year, at least coming straight out of the theater. So I don't know if I'll stick to that statement like a month from now, but just coming out of the theater, I was like, wow, so visceral, raw emotionality. The dialogue I thought was great too. Like you mentioned, they talk about moments. You kind of get a lot of philosophy from the different boys and like seeing what their worldview is and how they contrast against one another. And I always enjoy that.
I do want to say the adding on to like the emotional moments being a good through line. Like it really nails these emotional moments. And the main through line there is these two characters, our main character and basically like his friend that he makes throughout the journey. They're also spoilers. The last two left alive at the end. But their relationship, their friendship is beautiful. And it really moved me to a couple tears by the end of the film, like genuinely. And also really felt like there was a little bit of like homoerotic undertones. I don't know if you felt that.
You think so? I
can't tell if it's my broken brain just being like, now kiss. Like, because there were moments where they were looking at each other and I was like, are we doing that? Is that what this? Because I don't know the story. I'm like, is that where this is going?
Like, is this going?
And there was some homophobia from one of the other boys that was there, directed towards one of the two main characters. And I was like, this could just be him just being a little shit. But this could be striking a chord with that character because maybe there is something going on here. He also specifically mentions at one point that he doesn't have a girlfriend.
And then they look at each other for a long time. And they're silent.
Yeah, it's Ray Garrity's the main character played by Cooper Hoffman. And Peter McCreeves is the secondary character played by played by David Johnson, who, I don't know if you saw Alien Romulus,
I didn't.
is the
I've heard it's good.
android character in Alien Romulus.
wow.
And he's fantastic in that. And I will say, fantastic in this as well. I thought the two main characters, amazingly well played.
Pretty unbelievable, honestly. And we'll get to that. But I do want to jump back to your "Are they gay?"
Yes,
question.
let's get into that.
So I think the exact way it goes down is they're talking about girls, and David Johnson plays Peter, who's number 23, and Cooper Hoffman plays Raymond, who's number 47. I'll refer to them by their numbers. I think that's the easiest here.
I feel like that's so crazy. I feel like Ray and McCreeves are what they went by in the movie. Let's just say Ray and McCreeves. Ray's the main guy. McCreeves is his.
I just don't know if we're pronouncing
romance.
McCreeves right.
I'm 90% certain.
McCreeves, because the V is before the R here.
It's before the R?
Yeah.
McVries?
McVries?
It's not McVries.
This is why I have to go by the number, dude.
McDonald's fries? We could call him Peter. He doesn't go
Let's
by
go
Peter
by
in the
Ray and
movie.
Peter.
But
Okay.
let's say Ray and Peter.
So Peter asks Ray if he has a girl, and Ray is like, I did. And then that had to end because of this walk.
Right.
And then he's like, Peter, do you have a girl? And he's like, no, Ray. No, I don't. And then they look at each other for a long time.
Like a while.
And then the movie keeps going. I think they want it to be open to interpretation.
It has to be something that they knew would be an interpretation.
Yes.
Especially given the ending. Should we just jump there and
jump
then we'll jump
ending,
back?
and we'll jump back. Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the movie, they are the two left, Ray and Peter, and they are like brothers. They do say multiple times, like, I've never had a brother. Well, now you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a really close relationship they've formed, and they know only one of them can stay alive. And we do get this really, I found it humorous moment where they both try to martyr themselves.
Yes.
They're like, no, I'm going to sacrifice myself for you. And then they're like, no, I'm going to sacrifice myself. It doesn't play out like that. It plays out very seriously.
It is serious.
But I thought it was a little humorous. But what ends up happening is Ray basically tricks Peter into thinking they're walking together off to last out a little longer. But Ray just stops and gets shot. Mm-hmm. And Peter then freaks out. He's in agony and goes up to him and holds him as Ray's dying. Mm-hmm. And Ray says, he looks him in the eyes and he just goes like, I love you. I love you. And then dies.
Yeah.
And that's when I cried, first of all. But second of all, I guess it doesn't matter if it's romantic love or platonic or brotherly or whatever, because it was just love. And like they said in the movie a lot, for that moment, it didn't matter what it could have been, because it just mattered that it was one moment. It was a moment of love, and then it was gone. But it really feels like they could have been into each other.
Right.
And I think that's what I have to believe.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a perfectly valid interpretation for sure. And if that enhances your viewing of the movie, then for sure, I'm into it too. I think there's a lot of like moments of camaraderie throughout this film between like just guys who are going on this death walk together. And I think you said in the cold open that men will like this movie. So I don't know if that's even going to be in this episode, but we'll say it again. Men will like this movie.
It's a lot of men touching men in bro-y ways.
It's very bro-y.
It's a lot of like, my arms around you and I'm shaking you a little bit. And it's like, we got this.
Yeah.
My favorite recurring thing they'd say to each other was like, just keep walking. Just keep walking.
Yeah.
Like, they might have said just keep walking like 50 times throughout the movie. And it really is just, they're doing one thing. They're just walking.
They're just walking.
And they can't stop. And there's this really interesting, like, conflict of like understanding what's going on that happens both on a character level and on the level of like the film itself, where like these kids they want the other kids to die because they want to be the last one left alive so that they can live. It's the only way to live. Mm-hmm. But they also keep saving each other in ways that in saying out loud, like, I don't want anyone to die. We all got this. And it's like, well, but you don't.
But you
because
can't. Yeah.
You can't. And they wrestle with that a little bit, but there were times where I was like, well, but but we all do know most of you have to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like I caught myself thinking in real life, would people form camaraderies and friendships, or would it just devolve almost instantly?
Yeah.
You know?
I have a feeling that the book maybe has a little bit more violence between the walkers, stuff like that.
I don't know about calling them walkers because I'm just thinking of
The Walking Dead
now.
Yeah.
Although they did call them the long walkers.
Is that what they call them? Well, that just
I
adds
think there
the word
was a
long.
sign that said that.
It does say that.
They're long.
We can call them hikers. That's a word for people who walk.
They went at least 350.
Yeah, but they're not long
miles?
people. Long describes the walk, but not the walkers.
No, yeah. Well,
okay.
I guess I'm a walker,
one who
but I'm
does
not a long,
the long
walker.
walk.
I've done 18 miles once, maybe.
Yeah, me too. I did hike the Appalachians for 1 month. That was cool.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But that made me think about, because I got about a little over 200 miles. That took like 24 days or something.
Okay.
These guys made it like 331 miles in like 6 days or something.
I thought it was like 4 days, but
4 days?
it probably.
I think
maybe
5 days. 5 days. That's crazy.
Because we ended on a night. Do you have any insight, having done that,
having walked
into what walking is like, or like?
I will say the camaraderies that you form on the trail are pretty cool. You're walking along people, and you're like, you do kind of say, just keep walking as a motivator to your fellow trails people.
You got a blister, and you put some moleskin on, and you're like, just keep walking. You got it.
Exactly. No, you would get blisters and put moleskin on it, which these boys were not allowed to do. If they stopped for moleskin, they died.
Oh, yeah. Right off the bat, someone stops to tie their shoe and gets the 3 warnings and then almost shot, and then they like run back because they had a rock in their shoe.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy. Not how I would have gone about untying and
Handling
tying
the
my
rock.
shoe.
Yeah.
And getting the rock out, because I would have like broken it up into bits.
Yeah, I would have like leaned down and hopped forward, untied, stood back up, kicked my shoe off.
I really want to just go into something right here, which is how disgusting this movie is.
Okay.
Like how gross it is.
Yeah.
Because you see the deaths are gross.
Yes.
You see a lot of blood. You see a lot of guts. Okay, actually, you might have missed this. Did you see the kid get run over by the tank? And then his legs got crushed?
I thought you said I didn't miss anything important. No, I didn't see that.
You came back from the bathroom, and I think I just leaned over and told you that they had walked
kept
somewhere.
walking.
Yeah. Well, most of them did. One of them tried to run and jump onto it doesn't make much sense. Jump onto the tank to like hitch a ride, like he wasn't attacking them, and they were like, no. And they shot his leg, and then he fell over, and then the tank just ran over his legs.
Oh my God.
And then I think they just left him.
So they didn't shoot it. So you're right that I didn't miss anyone getting shot, but I did miss a visceral.
They shot his legs.
Oh, they
So I
did.
do think-
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we'll edit out the part where you told me that.
No, keep that in.
Okay.
Don't edit anything. This is all gold. Okay, the people need this.
Okay. But yes, gross movie. In addition to all the blood and guts, we also saw poop.
Yeah, I don't even like want to talk about it, but we should. If you're, I guess, if you're listening to this, you've maybe already seen the movie. But if you haven't yet, if you don't want to see someone's bare ass taking a watery shit. Is that going to get it demonetized?
No.
Okay,
fine.
we're good. Then don't watch this movie, because you see, I think that's the only time I've ever seen something like that.
You've seen a human
Maybe early
being,
YouTube, there was stuff like that out there.
They took their pants off and pooped.
The theater was in shock.
Yeah, it got a little bit of a laugh, but also a lot of gasps. I don't remember how I reacted to that, but it wasn't pleasant. And it wasn't pleasant for that walker. What are we calling? We didn't land on a name.
Let's call them humans. Let's call them people. Let's respect that they
Oh my God. Yeah, no,
have
you're right.
individual lives that before this moment where they were walking.
So
One of them had a wife
this part-
that they widowed.
Yeah.
She's not thinking of him as just a walker.
You're so right.
Come on.
And then that was Steven's like kind of last wish is he was like, I don't want to be a rabbit anymore. I want to be people. And then
Is that the sick boy?
yeah.
Yeah.
The one that
He
was
snotting.
the major son. Yeah, so in addition
He had
to
other
poop and
things that-
blood, there was also snot.
Well,
So
there's snot.
more bodily fluids.
Let's list all the bodily fluids that we saw. I saw spit
There's a lot of spit.
hanging. I saw blood. You probably see bile.
Yeah, there's really just one that doesn't.
No one throws up.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
I don't
think
think
you're
so.
right. You're right.
A little-
You would think that
A
someone
little
would.
unrealistic.
Yeah, I think people
I would.
people like throw up just from running really hard. So I am surprised there was no vomit.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
No either.
Whoa.
We're gonna
well,
edit that.
maybe some pre though. Or is that gonna get edited too?
We're cutting that.
Okay.
What were we talking about before the gross stuff?
I do want to say, based on the thing that we just edited out, I want to pivot to something else.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Okay.
that, well, maybe, no, you have to edit this out too. But
Okay, go for it.
He just talked about like how, oh, no, we can keep this in. Okay, here we go. What are we calling the second boy? Man?
Peter,
who is maybe bi, at least, if not gay. Mm-hmm. He did talk a lot about how horny he was and about how he could be horny for all of his bros that were there. And he did touch himself while saying it. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that at all.
He was like, you don't remember that conversation at all? He was like, I'm so horny right now, guys. I'm going to like bone for so long if I win this thing.
He said he was going to fornicate.
I'm so horny. I could fornicate with any of you right now. And then he started touching. Yeah. And it was like in a jokey, broy way, but I feel like that's maybe how people who are trying to feel things out might.
Yeah, or he might be closeted and just talking. I think you're probably right. I think that character probably is gay coded, or not even just coded. Like, that probably is. I don't know. I don't want to say probably, but it's definitely a very valid interpretation.
Well, what's interesting is that happens in the movie has nothing to say about it. Like,
Right.
if that is true, the movie, it really adds, I think, nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just kind of there.
Because whether it's romantic love or platonic love or just like bro camaraderie, like it's just very raw, like people bonding with one another. So I do think you're right, but for fueling fan fictions, which is an important part of any film that's trying to be successful,
Yes.
I think you do want some romantic undertones that people can grab onto and write about. So I could see that happening for
I could
this.
see there being good fan fiction for
I
this.
think so. I think the two women next to us might write some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we talked about them in the actual podcast yet?
No, it's all in the cold
pre-show?
open. Yeah.
Okay. So pay extra for the pre-show? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, we can put it on the Patreon.
Yeah, that's on the Patreon, along with the monthly Q&A podcast as well. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We definitely have enough people who want that.
We made friends in the theater.
Yeah.
1 minute, 1 moment friends. What did you call them?
Single serving friends.
Yeah. Respect the moment you're in. That's what this movie says, and that's what we did. They heard our conversation about the movie in general, and they would offer up good insights into like what was going on. One being that in the movie, they had to change the speed that they had to stay above, or else they would get shot, because the speed in the book was 4 miles per hour. Because Stephen King apparently just didn't know like how fast that was.
Yes.
And just randomly chose 4 miles per hour.
Yes.
And then when they did the movie, they were like, that's fast.
That's pretty fast. That's like a light jog.
Yeah, so they lowered it to 3.
Yeah.
Which three on the treadmill, I could do that.
Yeah, that's an easy walk for, an hour on the treadmill. It's a hard walk for 331 miles in 5 days.
And they also offered up like a couple other points about the book. And I'll throw to you for that because I don't remember.
They said the ending's completely different. In the ending, it's Ray that survives. He makes it to the end, collapses, and dies, which the woman next to us said that was a bad ending. She didn't like it. She was mad that she read 300 pages of that, and she preferred the ending in this movie. We also didn't completely describe the ending, so Peter's the one who survives in this one. He's the deuteragonist, or the secondary protagonist.
Good word.
Thank you. And he not only survives, he gets his wish, and he decides to fulfill Ray's wish, which was to get a gun and shoot the Major. Ray has a personal vendetta against the Major.
Yeah, there's backstory here.
There is backstory.
Because we get flashbacks in this movie. So it's not all just walking. There's, I would say, 2 interesting flashbacks. One just being him remembering his mom at various moments.
That was sweet.
Judy Greer.
Yeah, she was great.
And doing a fantastic job of like really living out a traumatic, horrible moment for any mother.
Yes.
And then his father, who was like, I guess like a revolutionary in spirit. It wasn't like he was like actively it's kind of vague, like doing things to fight back against whatever dystopian regime is in charge of America post, by the way, there was a war.
Yeah, there
I'm
was a
just
war.
Walking backwards here. There was a war, and in that war, America was torn asunder. It became a poor nation. I keep talking about how America can reclaim its number one spot on the world map if only these boys could walk, and that would inspire the GDP of the country to rise.
It's so bizarre.
It's kind of crazy and not too hard to believe as a possible, like that specifically. No, that's not going to happen. But as a metaphor for how capitalism works, sure.
It's similar to the Hunger Games, where they have a death game that somehow motivates the nation.
Right. So his father, Ray's father, believed in the old ways, which I guess was like reading Mark Twain.
Yeah.
And listening to music.
He just said music. Yeah. I think that's my one, flaw in this movie is that obviously the dystopia being vague is purposeful. Like they just don't feel like getting into the world building of this world. It's not important. The walk is important. But the stuff that they kind of pepper in, I was just like, all right. So the kid's dad gets shot because the dad showed the kid some books by Kierkegaard and Mark Twain. And those are the banned books in America.
I did get the vibe that like the current ruling class of America in this setting is like hyper pro-America. We need to be number one. Maybe any literature that would suggest America shouldn't be number one is sort of banned or illegal. Like, so I do think it has a politics on the surface. I just don't think, I think it took that as like here's a basic setting for it. And then it's not, right, like you said, too interested in getting into the details of it. But his father ends up getting basically rounded up by the secret police when they're just hanging out in the house. He's brought out into the street. Mark Hamill plays the major, who is basically in charge of the long walk. And he, I guess, also is the guy that is like arresting people randomly on the street. So he's in front of Ray's father in the flashback, and he basically says, like, renounce your crimes that you did and join the government or like the military, or you can die, basically. And he chooses to die. He gives him the Obi-Wan look and says, you know, strike me down, and this young boy will become stronger than you can possibly imagine. And that's what happens. Mark Hamill shoots him in the head, and that's kind of Ray's defining moment. And that's what motivates Ray to join up for the long walk and hatch this revenge scheme to kill the colonel by using, like you said, his final wish to take a carbine rifle from one of the guards and shoot the major.
Yes.
Right at the end of the race, which Ray dies. He doesn't get to do that. But
Pete does. Pete wins. He mourns his friend. And instead of using his wish for what he originally was going to wish for, which was that there would be 2 winners of the long walk, so that if you made a friend on the walk, your camaraderie could walk you through.
And I'm just going to say, that wish, a little gay. It's a little gay.
I don't know. So people really cheered when Pete gets the gun and shoots the major, but I think it's meant to be a little bit of a darker ending because he kind of loses a little bit of his hope. You know, his previous wish, I think, was something very nice, and instead he opts for violence, the violence that he was preaching against to Ray. So he takes the gun and shoots the major, and it is cathartic. The audience cheered.
It is very cathartic, yes.
The audience clapped.
We didn't cheer.
We didn't cheer.
I noticed.
Because we felt the dark undertones of what this meant for the character of Pete. Yes, well, the whole movie traumatizing. I wasn't ready to clap for anything. But yeah, so Pete makes this choice to fulfill Ray's wish, and then he just keeps walking down the road. And that's the end. Fade to black. Yeah.
I find your take on that ending very interesting because my take is a little different.
What was your take?
My take was that him shooting the major is the hopeful ending. I was afraid as he's holding the gun and there is a moment where Mark Hamill is trying to talk him down, basically being like, listen, you can have all the riches you want. You've made it. Don't throw it away. Don't pull the trigger. Don't shoot me. You don't want that kid. Doing, trying to convince him to put the gun down. And then he basically says like, no, and then shoots him. And I was really afraid he was going to put the gun down. I thought him putting the gun down was what was going to happen. And I thought it was going to be the message of the movie that like, there's no breaking these cycles.
Yeah, he was broken and beaten to join the system.
But I found it hopeful. He shot him. He slung that gun. He just starts walking. And call it the blind optimist in me. I was like, and then the crowd behind him picks up guns and they start the revolution.
No shot.
But also I'm just like, he's already in a system where he's broken, where his hope has been weaponized, honestly, against him. And I think while him shooting the major could be seen as a loss of innocence, I mean, his backstory is that he was orphaned and went through horrible things as a kid and has come out of it trying very hard to be an optimist, working to be an optimist. And I think at the end he becomes like a pragmatist. Him choosing violence isn't his soul becoming corrupted because it's already been corrupted and it's the only way out.
I think that is a good interpretation. I think it's probably a little bit of both because just the way that he was talking to Ray earlier about, telling him not to shoot the major, not to become the type of person who can kill another person. To me, that's what the movie is kind of trying to say is like, it takes a type of person to do that, and that's not the type of person you want to be. So him choosing violence at the end, I do think has some dark overtones, but I agree with you that if he had pulled the gun out and then put the gun away and been like, okay, give me the money, that would have been the darkest ending to this movie.
And I do think the movie does think the ending is dark. Like that him having to shoot him is it's cathartic, but it is also sad. Like it is sad. I just think it's sad because of the context of what led him there. But I think it's the best thing to do in that moment.
So it is a loss of innocence, which is sad, but it is the best thing, I guess, for this world, that this dictator character, without him there, maybe the system has a hope of changing. It seems like Mark Hamill is the major and, a TV personality and the president, maybe.
You think he's the president?
He seemed really in charge of everything.
Okay. Where does he go for 80% of the movie?
I think he's in the front tank, which has a shower in it, because they said he showers and
they do
gets
say
food.
He showers, but I know they could afford to have Mark Hamill on like most shooting days if they wanted to, right? This had a budget.
Yeah.
But it really felt like they only had Mark Hamill for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And so they talk about him like he's there, but I'm like, we haven't seen him
in an hour.
I think
you're right.
Weird.
I think he wasn't there. Like, I don't know if it's because he's busy. I think it's because he's old, and also like he's really online. So he like
he's busy tweeting.
He's busy tweeting. Yeah. Well, let's just go into the performances, and we'll start with Mark Hamill. What do you think of Mark Hamill in this role?
Hard for me to say because I love Mark Hamill and I eat up everything he gives me when he's on screen. I do think there was no nuance to that character as written, and he didn't add much nuance in his performance. It was just mustache twirling villain. I'm the guy you root against.
Yeah, it was tough because like he was the President Snow of the movie, but also the main enforcer and also the villain of the kid's backstory. So he is just this prominent villain figure, and then there's really nothing else about him. So it felt a little underbaked.
I'm glad you made that comparison to President Snow, because I would say President Snow is a much more interesting character and a much more nuanced performance.
Yeah. I mean, they made a book about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
I wouldn't read a book about the Mark Hamill character in this movie.
No. I honestly wouldn't read a book about this movie. Like I wouldn't have read the book.
Read The Long Walk, and we haven't, and that shows.
We haven't, and we won't.
Yeah.
But I will say, on the flip side, the kids in this I thought were much better than the kids in Hunger Games, both from a writing perspective and from an acting perspective.
Yeah, these kids had a lot to say, and it really felt like kids talking who were about to die. They kind of waxed philosophy and they just felt like guys. I don't know. You and I were both in Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Sometimes it reminded me of just like being at camp and being made to do some sort of physical challenge with my friends.
And you're shooting the shit. You're talking trash while you're doing it. We haven't talked enough about these kids. There's some side character kids that are a lot of fun. The theater didn't seem to have as much fun with them as I was having. I don't know any of their names, so I might just refer to them as the way they die.
Yeah, okay.
But the one that runs, attacks the tank and then gets shot, and the other kid goes back for him.
Oh, yeah.
But there's this kid throughout who is just talking trash. Like the whole time he's chewing gum. His whole thing is that when he stops chewing the gum, he's going to die. So he has to chew the gum. He also doesn't like littering. There's this weird bit about like how he won't throw anything away. And when other people do, he gets like really mad at them. And I just had so much fun. That character had so much energy. Brought a lot of energy to the performance. There were some kids that were just really trash. There's this one kid who just like kind of murders another kid near the beginning by like just really trash talking him and egging him on until this other kid's breaking and is like, I'm going to fight you. And when he tries to fight him, he slows down, and it happens enough times where he gets shot. And then all the other kids are like, wow, you just killed that kid. And then he's like, how dare you say that? How dare you? No one should ever say that I'm a murderer. That's the worst thing you could possibly say.
Yeah.
And why would you ever say that? And I'm like, because you just... I actually couldn't get a read on that character. I couldn't tell if he was like insane or if he was actually remorseful or didn't mean to do that, because it really seemed like he meant to do that. Like he was trying to cull the herd so that he had less competition.
Yeah, it was interesting because that character kind of went back and forth because he did that and then he seemed really regretful. My read on that is like he did want to see what happened if he baited that kid into stopping. And then when he saw the outcome, he felt remorse for it, and he was like, guys, tell me that wasn't my fault. And everyone was like, no, why'd you do that? That was your fault. But then he does go back to like trying to bait people and insult them and tell them that they're going to die soon.
He also hits himself.
Yeah,
like in the head.
It's meant to be like
times.
There's something wrong with the guy, and he slaps himself on the head.
I forgot about how he died. I think he hates himself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think he was projecting, right? Yeah. Because he does kill himself quite gruesomely.
It was a big
stabbing
surprise.
Himself in the neck.
Yeah.
With something. I don't know what he had.
He had like a scalpel or something, or maybe just a pen, but it was like a long object that was sharp.
And then he gets shot.
Yeah, so I guess he didn't kill himself. He tried to kill himself. And
he did by means of giving up.
That's
right?
true.
Like,
yeah.
He basically, it's kind of weird. That whole scene was a little weird. He basically loses his mind and starts saying really weird things, and everyone's like, what is going on? And then he's like, did they decide they're all going to give money to the one of the 50 kids who is married, his wife? One of them has a wife, and that kid dies, and they're like, his wife is widowed. That's horrible. Whoever wins, we all got to agree we're going to give her money, but they don't ask this one unstable boy who was a murderer.
Right, they've excluded him because he's a murderer,
and then he freaks out over that. He's like, hey, no one asked me, but like you should, because if you did, I'd be like, hey, and he like calls her a bitch as well. He's like, I'd give that bitch some money. Oh my God. And it's like, what is going on with you? And then he basically just like freaks out until they're like, we're good, we're your friend, like we got you. And he's like, okay, I have friends now. Well, then I'm going to die, because this moment did hit me, because he was like, I will be with you forever now, and you'll be with me, and now I can die. And then he dies. It's a really heavy movie.
Yeah. And that sequence I thought was really well done. It's, like you said, hard to get a beat on that guy, but he is that's one of the characters where you see the mental toll that this walk is taking on these kids, and that guy goes through it in a very specific way. I noticed that the soundtrack switched up as soon as he started talking to them, and I was like, something bad's going to happen here, but I didn't see that coming. I didn't know he was going to stab himself in the neck. And that we'd see all that blood. Another heavy scene from the movie.
Most of the movie's heavy scenes. Most of it because we're having a little bit of a good time here. I want to be very clear that most of this is really hard to watch.
If you go watch this movie, you're not going to have a good time. It doesn't matter if you have great friends next to you, or if your theater's
or if you have
clapping
bad friends next to you.
That one you'll have a worse time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the screening, the promotional screening they did where they had the treadmills in the theater.
Okay.
I don't know what to
What
say,
do you want to say about that?
but it's always fun to just mention things. This is like the type of stuff we can clip up and be like, look at this.
Right. This is going to become a YouTube short.
And then I can bring this up and then I can cut to a clip of that screening as if I had anything to do with it.
You edit in B-roll
I can.
to this thing?
Occasionally.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean,
Hats off to you.
dude, once in a while, and we don't make TikToks anymore, but when we did, like sometimes one would pop off. And those ones have some editing in them.
Okay, well, maybe this could be a TikTok moment.
Exactly.
So the viral treadmill, it went viral. Let's say viral.
We'll say it was a viral moment. Yeah, so they had a screening where you had to walk for the 1 hour and 48 minutes and stay above 3 miles an hour. Otherwise, you get kicked out of the theater.
Wait, do we know that? Or was that something I added when we talked about it?
They kick you out.
They kicked you out?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The threat of being kicked out is there. Yeah.
Do you think they give them 3 warnings? Or do you think they just kick them out?
I think they must give you 3 warnings. I think even if the 3 warnings mechanic wasn't part of this movie, like people at the screening would be mad if they just got suddenly kicked out.
Okay. I want to go into 2 fun places based on this.
Mm-hmm.
First is that they should have put VR helmets on all those people and made them be on that long walk. And then they should have also had those suits on that like simulate getting shot. and they would get shot and then they'd have to leave the theater in disgrace.
Yeah, I'm with you for the suit thing that feels like getting shot. The VR, I don't really know how they'd watch the movie in VR.
They're in the movie. They turn. I don't. This is how VR works. They turn to the right, and there is my boy Ray.
Yeah,
and who's got a great walk. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah,
and then the second thing is I want to know how far do you think you'd get?
How far would I get as a long walker myself? Oh, we were called through hikers. That's what you're called when you walk and you like sleep over in the mountains and then you walk again.
Right, because you're walking through.
Yeah, so
hiking through.
As an experienced through hiker myself, I don't think I'd make it that far. Like I said, I made 200 miles in about 24 days. These guys did 331 in 5. Walking is hard. I think with the threat of death looming over me, I could make it through one night, I would say, no sleep. And then I would be dead probably within 48 hours.
Yeah. I think I would get to the final 10.
You think so? I mean, you're pretty fit.
I think I could lock in.
Yeah.
Like the hill, like half of them died on a hill.
I wouldn't die on the hill.
That hill
I would just run up the hill.
Them 2 minutes to get up.
Yeah.
It felt a little ridiculous, the amount of people that were dying. Also, during that sequence, were they shooting people's feet? I got really confused about that.
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell who was getting shot.
It was kind of dark and a lot of people were getting shot. And then it looked like people were like freaking out about their feet. And I was like, are they shooting?
Oh, no. One guy's foot, he broke his ankle on the hill. But he wasn't getting shot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he was falling behind, so he decided to run. He snapped his ankle. And that character made it past the hill. We saw him walking with his bad foot the next day.
Yes, you see him walking on that bloody stump. Heel, and it's really bad.
And then he died. Which character was that? He was one that like had a few lines, but I forget who he was. Was he the guy with a book? There's one guy who was writing a book.
Right, he wrote a book and was like a little nerdy.
But I don't know if it was that guy.
One kid was a child. Like I think they said they had to be 18 or older to do this.
Yeah.
And he was not.
Yeah.
He was like he looked like 15 to me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. There was 50 kids.
Yeah, there was
one
lot.
for I don't think we said this, one for each state.
Yeah,
of the country.
In the book originally it was 100 teenagers.
Yeah, that's too many characters though.
Yeah, it was good they cut that down. The changes made were good. They cut it from 100 kids to 50. They changed it from 4 miles an hour to 3 miles an hour. They changed the warnings from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. 30 seconds, not cinematic at all. You can't be waiting 30 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds, you really feel the threat. Because then it's just basically 40 seconds you have total to get up to speed.
Yeah, the tension worked.
Yeah.
It was a very tense movie.
Yeah.
Although it felt long.
Yes.
Like, they ran... I don't know if there was an hour and 45 minutes worth of stuff. You know?
It's a lot of yapping. Like, it's a lot of, like, talking in between the tense moments.
How would you rate the yapping? Scale of
I love
1
the
to
yapping.
5.
I think this is some of the best yapping I've seen on screen this year.
Wow.
Trying to compare it to other stuff. Like, other stuff doesn't rely on the yapping like this does. I don't watch a lot of movies that are yap heavy.
Thunderbolts had yapping.
Thunderbolts had decent yapping. I think this had better yapping.
I think Thunderbolts had better yapping.
You think so? I think these kids had such interesting things to yap.
I felt like there was like one philosophical conversation that got interesting, and then we like never dove deeper. Mm-hmm. It's hard. They're kids, so like I get it. The movie, I'm walking into something that I think is why I'm bouncing off it a little bit. The movie never concretely lays out specifics of a character's philosophy, of the world that we're in, of why the major is so gung-ho about this thing, who he really is. Like, things are painted so vaguely. What this movie cares about is the relationship between these boys. And that works really well. But to build that relationship, they have to talk to each other a lot. They have to reveal secrets and their own morals and compare how they live their lives. And the things that we find out, I just think are like, I wish were a little more like defined.
Yeah, I could see that. There's a lot of vagueness in this film, and I imagine in the book as well, even though he has 300 pages to get into it. And I think that, like I said, that was my complaint, was like the world building was really lackluster, and that's by design, but also I kind of wish it functioned a little better. You know, The Hunger Games puts a lot of effort into its world building, and while a lot of it's very silly, you're like, okay, I can get into this world because you've defined the rules of the world. And this one doesn't really do that. They just define the rules of the walk. So everything outside the walk doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's all about that walk.
It's all about the walk.
They talk about the walk a lot while they're walking.
They talk so much. But I thought the yapping was good.
Just keep walking.
It felt like a stage play to me. A lot of stage plays have so much yapping that's supposed to reveal a little bit about the characters and build the relationships, but not really be like, this is going to explain the themes of the play. The themes of the play are just like, what if two guys were waiting for Godot?
Yeah, that's a great point. This feels very theatrical. And I do think it's one that probably you could sleep on, wake up the next morning and still be thinking about it.
I think so. Although I will forget most of the yapping that they did, but
I just don't think I want to think about it. Like, it's too relevant. Like, it's almost relevant to the point where I don't, like, for me at least, I don't think it's like making me think about anything I'm not already thinking about.
Yeah, there's no escapism here, buddy.
I'm living in.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like the Hunger Games, at least, were like they wear colorful clothes, at least in the Capitol.
There's something cool about the Hunger Games where they're criticizing, you know, a society that will celebrate the spectacle of this death game, but also they make the death game really cool and spectacular, and it's fun to watch. This isn't fun to watch in any sort of sense. So they say that they're screening this on television for people to watch. And to me, there's like really nothing to cheer for in the way that the Hunger Games.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. They really don't go into that.
There's a camera once, and then they say it's weird that there's a camera, and then it never becomes relevant.
Yeah.
I kept thinking that like violence was going to break out as we keep walking, as we start to get to towns. And I don't know if you've seen, what was the movie with the journalist and they go to the White House and it's a Civil War,
yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta say enough words and you'll eventually say the name of the movie. But Civil War kind of had a similar vibe to me of like we're traveling throughout an America that is in the heat of a war or post-war, where we're basically revealing the country through this travel. Mm-hmm. But in this one, I just didn't feel like we revealed anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's that type of movie. Again, it's not about America. It's about the walk, dude.
Right, they're walking America. Oh, they're all from the 50 states. Like it's a political movie. It is.
Oh, one thing about the ending that I thought was cool is Pete is grieving Ray, and he's like screaming out in agony, like you said. And he looks up and they're shooting off fireworks like it's the 4th of July. The nation is celebrating his victory, which also means they're celebrating the death of 49 children. And America the Beautiful is playing.
Not only is America the Beautiful playing, but they're all singing it. Like all these spectators, right? They're like all singing and like a Christmas carol. And it is quite harrowing and weird.
I thought that was cool. The juxtaposition of the suffering with this nationalism type of celebration it was nuts. It was very, I guess, just evocative I don't think that's the right word, but it was an emotional sequence.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. What were we talking about? The yapping.
The yapping?
Yeah.
There's two things this movie does. There's yapping and there's the walking.
There's yapping and walking and shooting.
I want to... So first of all, while we're still on the topic of yapping, did you have a favorite yap moment?
Dude, I feel it all slipping out of my brain as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to remember. Do you have a favorite yap moment?
Sure.
You might unlock one for me.
I did like his little philosophical speech, race speech towards the beginning when he talks about how no one really signs up for the long walk because everyone signs up for the long walk. And what that really means is that the system that this government has created, you are in such a dire position in your life. Everyone in the country is in such a dire position that they open up this little escape hatch. It's like, this is a way out. And it's a way out from something horrible that you've been living in, that you really see no other hope. And how are you not going to take it? How is it a choice? It's not a choice because it's presented to you as the only option. And I wish there was more yapping about that. I wish that we got a little bit more into the opinions of these children, or of these, I'm not going to call them children, that's a little weird, but of these young adults and the hate for the system that has brought them here, that they must be feeling, that we see that they're feeling in moments.
Yeah, that was definitely a good one, and that revealed a lot about Ray as a character, and that's important because he's our main guy. And he juxtaposes really well with Pete, the person who is becoming like an optimist, but he's like working on it. So I thought that was great. I think for me, moments like, do you remember that kid who finished the long walk and he won an elephant? And the kids are like, and they just brought out an elephant. Do you not remember?
They're like, didn't go to the bathroom ever, but I guess I blacked out for a couple minutes because they talked about an elephant.
Yeah, they were like, one guy used to wish for an elephant, and they brought the elephant to him, and he rode it off out of the long walk. So I was like,
I feel like you're lying to me.
I'm not lying. That really happened in the movie.
Wow.
And so to me, that's like a tiny detail, and I don't even remember which character said it or what it reveals about those characters, but it reveals something about the world, which is that sometimes the wishes are absurd, and probably because the kid went crazy and he was like, I just want an elephant. But I thought that was a cool one. I thought it was funny when the one character was like, I'm going to wish for 10 naked ladies, and they were like, that's a really stupid wish. You can just buy 10 naked ladies with all the money that you're going to get. And he's like, that's gross, dude. And they're like, the 10 naked ladies you get from your wish would also be paid for. And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Okay, that was the funniest moment of the movie, and probably one of my favorite moments as well. That's a good I also really liked, I'm going to bring up the third boy, third to last boy to die. The major's son is revealed.
His bastard child.
My favorite moment of his dialogue was when he starts that speech and he talks about how he is the rabbit. I don't remember the exact word for it, but it's basically like the rabbit that in a greyhound race they will like quickly shoot around the tracks so that they have something to chase. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. You were put here on purpose. Like, you are inserted into this thing to ensure that this is as competitive as it can be. Because if people aren't chasing something, they will not push as hard. But that didn't seem to really be what that meant. He just seemed to think that he was the strongest or something. Is that right? Is that what your takeaway from that was?
That is kind of the read from the movie. I read the Wikipedia summary of the book. He was put there by the major to ensure that the walk would last longer than in previous years. So your initial read of that was very insightful, because I don't think the movie lays that out successfully. But that was the character's backstory and purpose. So you pick that up between the lines.
And knowing that, I think that's what the movie does want that to be. I just don't think it executes
they didn't
well.
nail it, no.
But when it started to do it, I was like, oh, that's where this is going. And I do think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think, that's an example of like just suffering through adaptation. He probably had a long-ass speech towards the end of the book, and they had to cut it down because it's a movie. That made the character way more interesting. He was kind of a boring, like, oh, that's the strong character before that point in the movie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, he was the third to last person, or he was in third place. and he suddenly became an interesting character right before his death. A lot of these guys become interesting right before they die.
They also just kind of walk into frame randomly to become interesting suddenly.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
There was a line of dialogue at one point where someone's like, how many people are left? And the other guy's like, words just come up. There's 18 of us left. And then we see like a wide shot, and they're all like standing right next to each other. And I'm like, words come up from what? Up. For a second, I was like, oh, they're really spaced out. Like, because some of them were walking 3.4 miles per hour, some of them were going 3.1. Over time, they would get really far apart. And I thought that's what that meant, but then they were just right there. And I was like, well, surely you could all just count. Yeah. And then they do later. They do just count them.
Yeah.
And so that was a little weird to me. And characters did kind of disappear and reappear as needed by the plot. There's one point, I'm just harping on like how they didn't spatially position people that well in the walk. Mm-hmm. I think that was not done that well. At one point, someone takes a shit.
Yeah.
And then doesn't wipe because they got to walk.
Yeah.
And everyone who is chilling with them and walking with them is like, dude, you stink. You gotta walk give us some space. And then he's like, okay. And then he walks in front of them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and they're all like, woof, glad that's done. Right. And I'm like, he's right in front of you.
Yeah, that's gotta be worse.
Wouldn't it be worse? I would be like, go stand in front of that guy we don't like.
Yeah.
Who's a murderer.
Maybe he went really far ahead of them. I don't know. He went
off
a
joke
screen,
about
right?
like, oh, please go 2 miles up.
Yeah.
But then it just like, yeah. So like the spatial positioning was a little convenient.
Yeah.
I would say plot convenient, but like not really well thought out.
That was probably hard to like, it was someone's job on that set just to be like, all right, here's where we're going to stand for this scene or walk for this scene. And they had to think about that for every single scene, which I know is how movies work. You block people, but it's got to be harder.
Well, there's a lot of characters.
There's a lot of guys, yeah. And Mark Hamill's just fucked off somewhere, and we don't know where he is.
This cardboard cutout of Mark Hamill is in the truck. You just pretend that's him for your lines.
I mentioned earlier this felt very stage play in its dialogue. What would you think of a staged version of this, where the actors are on a giant treadmill the whole time?
I just thought about that because I was like, there's a version of this where you shoot it on a big treadmill and just green screen them. I think it would have to be a comedy.
Dude, I think you could do this completely
people
straight.
Would be tripping and like.
No, they rehearse.
Well, okay. First of all, you're saying a giant treadmill.
I'm not saying a bunch of little treadmills. I'm talking one big treadmill.
Here's the thing: I don't think that's real. I don't think that could exist.
What do you mean? Why can't a big treadmill exist?
Because it hasn't yet, and I don't think the physics of a treadmill would scale. I think think of how treadmills work.
What's the thing called? The band or?
Well, yeah, because the motor would have to be like huge to run it.
Yeah.
There's like 50 people standing on this one treadmill.
Yeah.
And the weight of them is just going to create so much friction. I just don't think there's a safe way to do it.
Okay.
Now, you could put them on ice. Give them, okay, sorry, that was insane. Give them rollerblades. That's the normal.
All right, fine. A bunch, maybe like 8 treadmills that take up the stage.
Yeah, no,
I think it could work.
They're on one big treadmill, but they're on rollerblades. Is what I'm saying.
No, I see.
Yeah.
I want to see this on stage. I think it would function really interestingly.
You would lose something though on stage.
Yeah.
You know what you would lose?
What?
You would lose Ray's beautiful walk.
He could still walk interestingly.
The close-ups of him walking, the beautiful shots from the front of him walking with him in like silhouette with like the sun setting behind him.
Yeah.
Also just the way that man strutted. Like I will say like genuinely so many times was like such a cool walk.
He had a good walk.
Had the best walk out of anyone there. Probably, I thought at one point, why he was hired.
Yeah. You think he got cast because... Do you think in the auditions they made everyone walk?
100%. I think that was a huge part of the auditions. And I think they were like, this guy walks for camera. Like, this works. This reads really well. And they probably did walking chemistry tests to see if gaits matched, right? Are we walking at the same pace?
Yep.
Because I thought our secondary boy there, whose name I will never remember.
His name's Peter.
Peter.
Yeah.
Peter had the second best walk.
Yeah, so you think they cast the 2 best walkers?
100. Well, also probably the 2 best actors, but also the 2 best walkers.
Yes.
Is walking acting?
That's a great question. And we should throw that to the audience. Do you think walking is acting?
Weigh in on the comments. Start fights. Get engagement going. Tag people you don't like and get them to comment.
These are good questions. Evan, what are you going to rate this out of 5 stars? What's your letterboxed gonna
My
be?
letterboxed, and first of all, I'm going to get my letterbox soapbox right now and say that there shouldn't be half stars. If
Wow.
you're doing a 5-star rating system, it's because you think the 1 to 10 scale leaves too much room for nuance, and the difference between a 6 and a 7 is meaningless. The 3 and a 2, no one's giving something a 3 that actually, like, come on now. No one gives anything under a 4 anyways. So it should be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with that in mind, this movie gets a 3.
Yeah, I'm giving this a 4, but I believe in the 5-star, half-star system. I believe it's a very good,
I understand.
solid 4-star movie. So 3 is, it is a fairly mixed rating, but I would say it leans positive. So overall, you're mixed positive.
Yeah, I'm mixed positive. My emotional response to a movie is a huge way that I rate it. That's why you might see that Thunderbolts for me is a 5-star movie.
Kind of makes you feel good.
5-star movie. I like to feel good or cathartic at least. Like sometimes I love a good cry. I love to watch a sad as hell movie that's traumatic and whatnot, but if I come out of it getting to feel emotions and getting that stuff out of my system or relating to it, then that's a wonderful time. And for this, I just felt so beaten down.
And it hits close to home, too.
It hits close to home, and I don't think the writing is great. I think it's good. And I think a lot of the tertiary characters are odd, are oddly done. But it's brought up by the amazing acting of the 2 main characters. Their love for each other was beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful moments there that are very redeeming, and I do love Mark Hamill. So 3 out of 5.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Solid stuff. I felt similarly. It wasn't a fun watch, as we've said multiple times on this podcast. If you want a fun movie, pick something else. We were going to watch Caught Stealing.
Oh, I bet you that's a fun one.
I bet you that is a fun one. Although I don't know. Aronofsky isn't necessarily known for how fun his movies are.
But I'm hearing it's fun.
Oh, okay. Well, then great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should still try and see that.
Austin Butler, you're killing it, babe.
Yeah.
He watches, right?
Probably. Yeah, so I did think the writing was really good. I was really into the dialogue the whole time, and I am glad I got to watch it on screen instead of reading it in a book. I thought whatever they took from the book, they did a good job translating it into the film. And I imagine it's even more dialogue heavy in the book, so I'm sure they had to make interesting choices for that. The characters all felt really real to me, which made it very effective when they were violently shot in front of me. So
Yes.
I don't want to say I enjoyed that aspect, but I'm giving that aspect 4 stars out of 5. Evan, do you have anything else you want to say about this movie before we sign off?
It's overrated. Did I do it right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll just say it's underrated. That way we can end this on a note of disagreement.
It's been rated.
Evan, do you have anything you want to plug?
No.
Why?
I'm here to have fun. I didn't come on this podcast to sell video games.
Your game just
that
went
you
up
could
today.
find,
It went up today.
on Steam. If you searched My Little Spider, because let's say you wanted a cute idle game that adds a spider to your desktop that hangs out with you while you're getting work done or playing another game.
Whoa.
I wouldn't do that because I'm here just to talk about movies, just to hang out with you, my friend Jason. I'm not here to plug my other upcoming game, Scorchwalkers, that you could also go to Steam and Wishlist. Wishlist really helps independent developers because it's the way Steam determines whether or not to promote them to other people on the website. I would never do that because I'm just here to hang.
I really respect that you would never do that, even though those sound like amazing games that I would want to play. And
Yeah.
I'll definitely be checking them out and wish listing them probably immediately after this.
Well, you don't need to do that.
But it's like,
thank you.
yeah, surely no need for us to bring it up because we're just two friends hanging out.
Yeah,
But
like, I would never tell people to go to @Evan_Tor. That's TOR on Blue Sky. But I wouldn't say this anyways. But you could go follow me there to get updates on the upcoming game projects, to follow along with development. You can join my Discord, which you could find there. Once again, not something I would plug, but
yeah, plugs are so shameless, and it's really respectable that you don't do that.
yeah, I would never tell people that I have a coffee account, where if you just think that I'm doing good work out there, you could give me $2 for a coffee and get nothing in return. I wouldn't say that.
Maybe I should get a coffee account.
You should.
For this podcast.
I've gotten maybe $8 over the
Yeah,
course
that's
of 2
nice.
years from it.
That's like
and
2 coffees.
it's really beautiful. Like it made me so happy just because I was like, someone thinks I deserve a coffee and it's not a transaction. It's not transactional. They're not getting something. They're just like,
Right.
you deserve
There's
this.
no reward tiers for giving you $2.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, besides knowing that I might be a little happier that day,
get a
maybe
coffee.
maybe I'll get a little more work done. I don't know.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, we have a Patreon, and I just feel like guilt that people are giving me money every month for this podcast, which is released when I feel like it. So
That's ridiculous because I know you work really hard. I know you have a huge film brain on you. You know what you're talking about.
Oh, thanks, bro.
This is such a professional setup. You should not feel bad about that.
Oh, thanks, bro. Well, I appreciate that. Well, with that in mind, check us out on Patreon. You know, we're the Over Under Podcast. You can find us on social media, Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter still. We're not on Blue
What are those
Sky yet.
handles? Just at over under?
I think we're at underscore over under pod. Underscore over under pod.
Do you think you'll have to fight the Pitchfork people at some point because they do videos called over/under where they ask artists
they do?
what they think is overrated and what they think is
Wait,
underrated?
they do that? How long have they been doing that?
Well, they're like 8-minute videos, and they just ask them like overrated or underrated popcorn, and it's like Sleater Kenny being like overrated.
Yeah. No, they probably stole that from us. That's actually a little
probably did.
frustrating.
You should sue them.
We'll sue Pitchfork. It's okay. We talk about changing the premise of this podcast all the time. We didn't even do the over under thing until the very end of this podcast.
The premise of this podcast? Overrated.
Yeah, what else am I supposed to plug at the end of these? Join our Discord. The links will be, yeah, that's right. I don't need to tell you the handles or the links because the links will be here in the video or the podcast description. Yeah, so
Like right here.
Evan's, yeah, we can do that. Evan is gesturing for people listening, and then for people viewing, you can just watch that be happening. But that's going to be it for this episode of the Over Under Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening and or watching. See you at the movies. Bye.